Emma sat at the small corner table in the cafe, staring at her coffee cup as if it held answers. Outside, the late autumn sun cast golden light over the street, making everything look calm and almost magical. But inside her, her thoughts were restless. She hadn't meant to come here today. It was just that the cafe had been their spot once, long ago. She and Ryan had met here, laughed here, argued here, and even shared dreams here. The memories were like old photographs she hadn't dared to touch until now. Her fingers tapped lightly against the cup, a rhythm she hadn't noticed she was making. Emma looked up when the door opened, and a gust of chilly wind blew in, carrying the faint scent of rain. People shuffled in and out, ordering drinks and talking softly. Everything seemed ordinary, yet her heart felt anything but normal. Kept thinking about the message she had received from Ryan earlier this week, a simple "Hey, can we talk?" That had sent her world spinning. She had ignored it at first, unsure if she wanted to reopen old doors. But now, sitting here, she wondered if ignoring it had been a mistake. Emma's gaze fell on Daniel, sitting across from her. He was more than a friend, but not exactly a lover. He'd always been steady, reliable, the kind of person who stayed when others left. He knew her in ways she didn't always admit, knew the silent parts of her heart that even she barely understood. He smiled gently at her now, sensing her distraction. "You've been quiet," he said, his voice low but concerned. Emma let out a soft sigh, looking down at her hands. "I've been thinking," she said, almost to herself, "about sharing happiness." Daniel tilted his head. "Sharing happiness." "Yes," she whispered. "Sometimes you want to know someone sees what you feel, what you want, is willing to step in, not to take over, but to be part of it, to help make it real." Daniel's expression softened. He reached for her hand, brushing it lightly. Emma flinched slightly, not because she didn't want the touch, but because it stirred something she wasn't ready to name. "So, you want me to decide?" He asked carefully, as if walking on thin ice. Emma hesitated. The truth was, she wanted more than a decision. She wanted him to understand her heart, to see the gaps she had left for someone who mattered. But she wasn't sure if Daniel was the one, or if she was even ready to let him in that deeply. She just wanted to stop pretending she could handle everything on her own. As they spoke, the cafe door opened again. Emma's heart skipped a beat. There he was, Ryan stepping in with his usual casual confidence. His eyes scanned the room, until they landed on her. That same spark of recognition flickered in his gaze, and for a moment, it was as if no time had passed at all. Emma felt a mix of longing, fear, and curiosity tighten her chest. Daniel noticed immediately. His hand lingered on hers for a heartbeat longer than necessary, as if to anchor her. "You know him?" he asked quietly, a hint of tension in his voice. Emma nodded, barely able to speak. "Yes, it's complicated." They watched silently. As Ryan walked further into the cafe, Emma's mind raced through years of memories, good and bad, all colliding at once. She remembered the nights they stayed awake talking, the mornings of laughter, the arguments that left her frustrated but somehow still in love. And now all of that was hovering in the room, unspoken but present, like a shadow of the past. Daniel squeezed her hand lightly, a gesture full of understanding. He didn't ask her to explain, didn't push. He just let her feel everything, just like he always did. Emma realized then how much she had relied on him, how much his presence had always been a quiet comfort in her life. But this was different. This was about Ryan, and Ryan had been her first real love. The one who had left a permanent mark on her heart. Ryan's eyes met hers across the room. The spark of recognition was unmistakable, and for a moment Emma felt a pull she hadn't expected. She looked away quickly, feeling the warmth rise to her cheeks. Daniel, seeing her reaction, didn't speak, but his eyes held a question. "What? Do you want?" Emma wanted to answer, but the words caught in her throat. How could she explain that part of her heart belonged to someone else? Someone who had been gone but was suddenly here again. She wanted to confess everything, to lay her feelings bare, but the fear of making the wrong choice stopped her. So she stayed silent, letting the tension fill the small cafe, letting the past and present collide in a way that made her chest ache. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Ryan didn't approach. He simply stood, watching, waiting. Emma's thoughts raced. Should she go to him? Should she wait and see what he would do? Could she even trust herself to handle what came next? And through it all, Daniel stayed calm, offering a quiet stability that made the chaos in her heart feel just a little more bearable. Finally, Ryan moved toward the counter, ordered his coffee, and turned back, his eyes meeting Emma's again. There was hesitation in his expression, a mixture of hope and uncertainty. He looked like a man who had returned to a place he had once known but was unsure if he still belonged there. Emma felt a pang in her chest, a reminder of how much she had missed this connection. Even after all the years apart, Daniel leaned slightly toward her, his voice a soft whisper. "Whatever happens, I'm here. You don't have to decide right now." Emma nodded, grateful for his patience. She realized that the choice wasn't just about Ryan or Daniel, it was about her too. She had to figure out what she wanted, what she was willing to risk, and what she was willing to let go. And in that moment, she understood that sometimes love isn't about rushing toward a decision, it's about letting things unfold. Letting people reveal themselves and being brave enough to face the truth when it comes. She took a deep breath and let her eyes follow Ryan as he moved through the cafe. She noticed the small changes in him, the way he smiled, the way he carried himself, and felt the old emotions stir in her heart. Daniel's hand remained lightly on hers, steady and reassuring. A reminder that she wasn't alone in whatever choice lay ahead. Emma's thoughts drifted to the question she had asked herself earlier: do I want to share happiness, or do I want to control it? And she realized that the answer wasn't simple. She wanted to share it, to let someone in, but she also feared the vulnerability that came with opening her heart. She wanted Ryan to choose her, but she also wanted to let Daniel be part of her life in whatever way he could be. The cafe felt smaller suddenly, as if the three of them existed in a bubble separate from the world. Outside, life continued. People walked by, cars passed, the wind rustled the leaves, but inside, time seemed suspended. Emma felt a mixture of fear and excitement, longing and uncertainty, all tangled together in a way that made her heart race. Ryan finally looked directly at her, his expression soft but searching. Emma felt a shiver run down her spine. He hadn't spoken yet, but the intensity of his gaze said everything. He wanted to know if she had room for him again. She was willing to let the past guide them, or if the present would take over. Daniel noticed the shift immediately. He didn't say a word, but gave her a small, reassuring nod. It was as if he was telling her, "It's okay. Whatever you feel, take it. I'll wait." That quiet patience made Emma's chest tighten with gratitude. She had always loved Daniel in a quiet, steady way, but now she realized her heart was caught between what was comfortable and what was thrilling, between what was safe and what was inevitable. The door opened again, letting in another gust of chilly wind. Ryan took a step forward, pausing near the table, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Emma's heart pounded. She could feel Daniel's hand on hers, steady and warm, a tether to reality. But all she could focus on was the man she had once loved standing in the doorway, waiting for her to make a choice she wasn't yet ready to name. She looked down at her coffee cup, tracing the rim absent-mindedly, and realized that the answer wouldn't come from overthinking. It would come from listening to her heart, from letting herself feel the truth of what she wanted. And in that quiet realization, she felt the first flicker of clarity. She didn't have to control everything. She could let life unfold, let Ryan show up in her world, and let Daniel support her through the uncertainty. Emma looked up, meeting Ryan's eyes again, and felt the old spark of connection stir. It was frightening and exhilarating all at once. She wasn't sure what would happen next, but she knew she was ready to face it. Ready to let the story move forward, even if she didn't have all the answers yet. And just like that, the cafe felt charged with possibility, with tension and hope. Emma realized that some questions weren't meant to be answered immediately. They were meant to be felt, experienced, and lived. She could feel the past and present converging. And though her heart was caught in between, she knew one thing clearly. This was a moment she could no longer run from. The bell above the door chimed again as Ryan stepped closer, his expression unreadable but full of emotion. Emma's fingers tightened around her cup. Daniel's hand gave hers a reassuring squeeze. And in that suspended moment, with the autumn lights streaming through the window, Emma understood that everything was about to change. The park was quiet that evening, the sky painted in shades of pink and gold as the sun dipped behind the trees. Emma walked slowly, her coat wrapped tightly around her against the cool autumn air. Daniel walked beside her, not speaking much, just letting the sound of their footsteps on the crunchy leaves fill the space. He didn't need to fill it with words. He had always understood the weight of silence. "I don't want to push you," Daniel said finally, breaking the quiet, his voice soft and careful. "But I can tell you're holding something back." Emma nodded, not meeting his eyes. The truth was heavy on her chest. "I am," she admitted quietly. "It's him. Ryan, we had something once, a long time ago, and now he's back." Daniel glanced at her, expression unreadable but calm. He didn't ask her to explain more than she was ready to. He didn't need to. He had known she carried memories of Ryan like delicate glass, beautiful but easily broken. "Then, maybe you don't have to decide alone," he said gently. "Maybe it's not about choosing now. Maybe it's about letting him or me see what you want and waiting to find out what happens next." Emma slowed her pace, her heart racing at his words. She had spent years trying to control her emotions, trying to keep her heart safe, but Daniel's presence reminded her that some things couldn't be controlled. Some feelings had to be faced, even if they scared her. They reached a bench under a large oak tree, the leaves falling softly around them. Emma sat down, hugging her knees. Daniel stayed standing for a moment, then sat down beside her, giving her a respectful distance but keeping close enough that she could feel his support. "I don't know what to do," she admitted, her voice shaking. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to choose the wrong path. I feel torn." Daniel nodded slowly. "It's okay to feel that way. You don't have to decide everything right now. You've always been brave with your heart. Emma, maybe the brave thing now is to let yourself feel, to let yourself be honest with both of us and with yourself." Emma looked at him, the sincerity in his eyes making her chest ache. She wanted to tell him everything, the late nights thinking of Ryan, the dreams she had left unfinished, the part of her heart that had quietly been waiting for someone to notice. But words failed her. All she could do was sit there, letting the autumn wind carry the unspoken truth. "Daniel," she began, then stopped. The words felt too fragile. "You don't have to say it all at once," he said softly. "Just say what you can." She took a deep breath. I want to stop guessing. I want to let life unfold. I want to let someone choose me too, instead of me always trying to figure out what they want." Daniel's eyes softened. He reached for her hand, letting their fingers brush. "Then you won't have to," he said quietly. "You won't have to do it alone." For a moment, the world felt still. The crunching leaves under their feet faded. The wind seemed to pause, and the fading sunlight made the park feel like a place suspended in time. Emma felt the old fear and hesitation begin to ease, replaced by a strange, thrilling hope. The next day, Emma found herself standing outside the cafe where it had all started, her chest tight with anticipation. Ryan was already inside, waiting. His eyes lifted as she entered, soft but searching. The familiarity of his presence hit her all at once. Years of memories, of laughter, of longing, surged through her. She approached the table cautiously, feeling Daniel's words echo in her mind. Let him choose, let him see what you want. Let life unfold. Emma, Ryan said, standing as she neared. His smile was tentative, unsure, but full of warmth. It's good to see you, she nodded, sliding into the chair across from him. It's good to see you too, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. I want you to decide. Ryan blinked, clearly caught off guard. Decide what? About us? Emma said softly. I'm done guessing. I'm done hiding. You want? Then you choose. Ryan leaned back, looking at her carefully. There was a long pause, the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. Emma could feel her pulse quicken, the weight of years and emotions pressing on her chest. She had no idea what he would say, or what his heart still held. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid to find out. Wow, Ryan said finally, a small nervous laugh escaping him. I didn't expect that. I didn't think I'd get a chance to hear that from you. Emma nodded, looking down at her hands. I'm giving you the chance, she whispered. I've held on to the past for too long. Now it's your turn to choose. Ryan reached across the table, his fingers brushing against hers slightly. The touch was electric, not in a loud or dramatic way, but quietly, deeply. Emma, I never stopped thinking about you, he admitted, his voice low. Even after all this time, I've wondered. What could have been, what should have been. Her breath caught. She had imagined this moment countless times, but reality was always sharper, more intense. I've wondered too, she admitted. But now, I don't want to wonder anymore. I want to know. Ryan's eyes softened, a mixture of longing, hope, and vulnerability shining through. Then let's figure it out, he said. Not by rushing, not by trying to force anything, but by being honest, together. Emma felt tears prick at her eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were relief, joy, and a kind of quiet awe. The man she had loved, the one who had left a permanent mark on her heart, was here, willing to take the step she had longed for, willing to choose her openly. Honestly, they spent the rest of the afternoon talking, sharing stories of the years apart, laughing at memories, and quietly acknowledging the pain and the longing that had never really left. Emma felt a strange peace settle over her. For the first time in a long while, she realized that love wasn't about control or certainty. It was about trust, about letting someone in, about taking a step and letting life guide the rest. Daniel's words echoed in her mind. You don't have to do it alone. She had felt his presence, his patience, his quiet support throughout this journey, and it had made her brave enough to face the past, to confront her feelings for Ryan, and to let him choose her as the sun began to dip lower. Casting a golden glow over the cafe, Emma realized that the choice wasn't just Ryan's, it was theirs together. And yet, by letting him choose, by giving him the space to decide, she had also chosen herself, her own courage, her own heart. Ryan smiled at her, a soft, knowing smile that made her heart skip. So, we'll see where this goes, he asked, his tone hopeful. Emma nodded, her eyes shining. Yes, she said firmly. We'll see, but this time we do it honestly. We'll let each other in. We let each other choose every step of the way. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath again. Outside, the streets were alive with the evening crowd, but inside, Emma and Ryan existed in their own small universe. A place where time had bent, where past and present collided, and where love had been given a second chance. And as they left the cafe together, walking side by side through the soft glow of streetlights, Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years, a quiet, steady certainty. She didn't know exactly what the future held, but she knew she had done the bravest thing she could. She had trusted her heart, she had let go of fear, and she had let someone choose her. Daniel watched from across the street as they walked away, a small, wistful smile on his face. He was happy for Hurt, truly happy. He knew he had played a role in helping her find her courage, and that was enough. Love, he realized, wasn't always about being the one chosen. It was about giving someone the space to find their own path, even if that path led elsewhere. Emma and Ryan disappeared down the street, their hands brushing lightly, their steps in sync. The world felt alive with possibility, every moment charged with emotion and hope. And Emma realized that sometimes letting go of control, letting someone else make a choice, could open the door to a kind of happiness she had only dreamed of. That night, as she lay in bed, Emma thought about everything that had led to this moment: the heartbreak, the longing, the quiet support of a friend, the return of a love she had never truly forgotten. She understood now that life didn't always give easy answers, but it did offer moments of clarity, moments when trust, courage, and love could intersect in ways that felt like magic. And in that quiet, reflective moment, Emma smiled, knowing that she had finally taken the step she had been avoiding for years. She had let him choose, and in doing so, she had chosen herself as well. The story wasn't over. There were still questions to answer, challenges to face, and feelings to navigate. But for the first time in a long time, Emma felt ready. Oh, she felt alive. She felt loved. And she knew deep in her heart that this time she wouldn't have to face life's uncertainties alone.